Hey, welcome to Keight's Crafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you two cards I recently made using a new to me emboss resist technique. Let's get started. Starting off, I am taking the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 300 series paper and cutting it to 9x6, so basically in half. And what I'm going to do today is I am going to take the graduation stamp from the Magic Message stamp set from Fawn, and I am going to do a little free stamping with some Salvage Patina. Here I'm just kind of taking my anti-static powder tool and just going all over the clean paper just to make sure that it's dry and that I don't get embossing powder everywhere when I go to emboss. So I'm not used to doing the free stamping. It actually kind of makes me a little nervous. I am tried and true to a stamp positioner. I feel a lot less anxiety when I use one of those. But since this is going to be an emboss resist technique and not the main focal point, I think I can kind of cope with the whole free-handed stamping thing. I never have much success with it when I'm trying to be serious with it, but since I'm not really being serious with this aspect of the card, then it was kind of something maybe perhaps I could try in the future to build my confidence with freehand stamping. So I'm just going around the paper with the salvaged patina on my stamp and going around and filling in the gaps and not really having any rhyme or reason, just kind of haphazardly plopping it down where I feel it needs to be. And then once I'm done with this, I will go in with a smaller stamp to fill in the spots that I was kind of not too keen on filling with the larger stamp. So I'll just take this little one out here, grab another small stamping block, and proceed to do the same thing. So this is a little bit bigger of a piece of paper for the A2 size cards that I'll be making today, so I end up cutting this down with the outside in stitch rectangle die, which you'll see here in a bit. But first we're going to go around and just make sure all the places are filled up, and I'm happy with that. Oh, I gotta get a sheet of paper first before I start. I thought this was kind of neat, like my favorite part. So as I'm sprinkling it onto the paper and it's kind of falling down, you kind of get that impression from the embossing powder stuck to the pigment hybrid ink of the Distress Oxide. And I don't know what it is. It's almost satisfying to see that happen. And I just took a little tiny paintbrush here to get rid of the little fuzz that I had on it. So I'll take the excess and I will pour it back into my container, and I will repeat the process in the other direction just to make sure that I get it all. This is a fairly large piece of paper, so I wasn't quite sure how I would handle doing the dumping of the embossing powder, as I'm used to working with smaller areas. So this was a new to me thing. So I've got my heat gun going, and I'm just taking my time going around and making sure that all the embossing powder is melted. Now you don't have to work too quickly, but somewhat quickly when you're dealing with this, because I didn't let it sit for too long. I wasn't sure how long Distress Oxide generally needs to completely dry, as I've never tested that out and never really researched it. So here we're going to take some Spun Sugar, and we are just going to ink blend over top of all of our stamping here. And I'm not being too particular about how much I have on my brush, or how little for that matter, in areas. I'm just going to lay these colors down in a diagonal pattern. And I'm not measuring it out, I'm not being scientific about it, it's just going to go down on the paper. And I'm going to blend that out. So, wasn't sure what I was doing there, but anyway, I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to grab another brush, and we are going to go in with some Squeezed Lemonade. I really like how bright and cheery this color is, and how it's not quite neon, But it's very vibrant. I think it's a really nice contrasting color to go with anything kind of darkish. So next I'm going to touch that up, but next I'm going to be using some Wilted Violet and going into some of the spaces. Now at first I was kind of like, I don't know that I really want to touch anything, and then I decided, you know what, maybe I'll just kind of, whatever, I'll go with it. I'll add more in. You know, if I don't like it, I don't like it, but I probably should have used my magnets, but I think no, I didn't pull out my my special platform there. What is it called? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's got the magnets in its metal. I just decided to go all over my Cricut mat. This is a self-healing mat. In hindsight, it probably wasn't necessarily a good idea. I probably should have... Oh, at my make art station. Where is my marbles? I think I left them in the backyard. Anyway, I digress. So once I've got that blended out and I'm happy with everything, here's where I take the outside in stitched rectangle die and I'm going to move it over enough to where I can get 2 panels out of this card, and the backgrounds will be the same, but they won't be identical. So you gotta kind of be a little bit careful when you're pulling them out. I find that if I'm not, then I end up ripping it. So here I go back in and pull out the other one, and I can set that negative space aside if I need to make a banner or something out of it later, but we're not going to use that bit. So I was kind of like at a loss as to what to do when I was making these. Since I had already used the graduation stamp, it was kind of like, well, I couldn't really use it again to make it my focal point, and I'd had all these Henry's ABCs from Fawn in a cup from a previous project on my desk, and I thought, well, I might as well use some of these up. So as I was fiddling through all the letters, I didn't really quite have enough letters to make 2 cards. So I had to turn around and cut some more. So as you can see here, I'm kind of spelling out, I believe it's way to go. And then once I stop, it was kind of like, well, I really need to make some more. So I'm just going to lay these ones out and see how I like them, and then I'll get the rest of them out together. Yeah, I was looking for another letter here, and I decided, well, maybe I'll just cut them, before I decided that maybe I should just make some more and it might be smarter. So that's what I ended up doing. I cut out some more out of some 65-pound cardstock. I think it was like a gold shimmer Recollections brand or something. I don't know, it was pretty. So here I'm just using my Cricut mat and kind of lining everything up and using some washi tape, and I didn't quite cut that piece too long. I probably could have cut it a little bit longer to be able to manipulate it. So once I'm happy with that layout, I'm going to peel these up and set them off to the side, and I'm going to start off with the did, because that'll be in the center and I can get it relatively centered and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to take some glue and going to realize I need to stick a pin in it because it's dried up a little bit, and that's sometimes what happens. So I keep one of my Make Art Station magnets on my desk, and I just kind of pin stuff to it, so to speak. It kind of keeps loose ends. I need a little bit of a bigger magnet because sometimes the dies, little bitty dies that I use frequently, get stuck to it, and then it just gets into a big pile and I think I've lost them. So here I am just gluing around the letters and making sure that I've got enough glue to adhere to my project, because it's not going to be too smooth of a surface with the emboss resist, and I'm not exactly sure how well glue sticks to melted embossing powder. I never did quite consider that. I guess that thought just kind of crossed my mind now. So I'm gonna try and use my T-square ruler here and line everything up so it's kind of relatively even. Probably could have taped down my paper with some washi tape and whatnot, but I don't know, I was just kind of winging it as I go, like I always do. I never really quite have a plan, I just get an idea, and the idea kind of takes on a kind of life of its own, and ends up embodying something I totally hadn't planned for, I guess. So I'm just going to repeat the same process here with the it, and I'm going to eyeball that since the did was as level as I was probably going to get it. And I think in the end the glue kind of held up alright. I don't know how it would have held up if it was entirely embossed, so I don't know, maybe you know, and you can let me know in the comments below how liquid glue adheres to large embossed areas. I think that would be my question. Yes. How would glue hold up to large embossed areas? So I'm just going to do that too here again with the U, and make sure that it's relatively even, I guess. So peeling that off gently as I possibly can. And when I'm satisfied with that, I will put a brick on it and I will glue the other letters down to the paper. So once I'm done with that and I'm happy, I think maybe I'll throw down some Winkostella along the letters, and I'm careful not to get too much of it gooping out, because sometimes I find this one kind of goops out a little bit. Not really goops, because it's not goopy. It's kind of runny, like liquid. But I didn't want it to, like, kind of just, I don't know, spill the beans all over my card. So that's why I'm taking it off to the side and just kind of picking up any excess off that side piece of scrap paper I got going on there and going over the letters. I don't want to touch the, what do you call it? The distress oxide, because it is water reactive and that is a liquid. So once I'm happy with that, I will add in some foam tape to prop that up, and that way my panel will be up and off the card base. Oh, this little technique here is me just being lazy and not wanting to really totally measure this out. So I end up taking one measured piece of double-sided adhesive, double-sided foam adhesive. Yes, words are hard, of course. And I measure one out. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? I measure one out, and then I take that and kind of measure or eyeball the rest of them for my panel. And I'll put two down and flip it over, put one around. That way I've got enough room in the middle for the fifth one, and there's no sinky bits, and it's, you know, relatively stable, if you will. So I'm going to peel off the back sides of these and reveal the sticky part, and then we'll adhere it to my card base. Yes. So, oh, yeah, maybe put a little bit of security blanket, because I seem to be a little clumsy in this video. So I'm just going to squiggle a little bit along the edges here. Not edges, but you know what I mean. It's late. I'm tired. I should be going to bed, but instead I decided to do the video. Anyway, enough of my whining. So once I'm happy with that, I'll place it down and I'll show you how pretty this is. Now I did do a little bit of splattering off camera, and I didn't put that in. I lost the footage somewhere along the lines, but they're all shimmery and pretty and whatnot. So there are my two finished cards. I hope you like them. It was kind of fun trying to figure this one out, and I don't know, I'll probably try it again. Different technique, something to try, something to learn, you know. So if you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.